Alright, gaming compute, what is up? It's been a bit. I know I haven't been very consistently posting on this podcast for a bit. December was rough, and January is already more than halfway over. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, I got definitely a forced break there. But I think things are back on track. This week has been starting out pretty good. This is the week of MLK weekend. So that was Monday. I'm recording this now on Thursday morning. But yeah, I've already posted the past 2 episodes, so I think this is gonna I'm gonna post this like for I guess Saturday at midnight. So yeah, we're gonna start talking a bit about SEO. Or a lot about it, I don't really know. But we're definitely gonna talk about it. So what SEO is, for people who, I think most people know what it stands for by now, it's search engine optimization. So why is it important? When you have a website, no matter what it's for, if it's for fun, or if you're trying to sell something or promote something, or just get your ideas out there some way, you want people to come to your site, right? Now you have sites like, platforms that are already, for the most part, they're gonna give you some kind of you're gonna get some kind of traffic. Sites like eBay, sites like OfferUp, sites like Craigslist, sites like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook even. People are just gonna scroll around naturally and possibly find you. Even if you're not posting something that maybe if you're not posting a lot, or whatever it may be, you could even just test it out. If you post something up on even LinkedIn, like these types of social media or other types of platforms that already exist, where there's already traffic there, there's a method where, the more you post, and specifically within whatever the niche is, if you start consistently posting, you're just naturally going to get traffic, especially if you're posting about something that people have an interest in, or even if you're posting about something that is rare. Like, I'll give an example. Back in the day, I forgot to mention YouTube. How did I forget to mention YouTube? But I forgot to mention YouTube. That's another major platform. Back in the day, I posted this video that I was, had this project I was copying off of this YouTuber. I think his YouTube is now Bachido, I think. What a bachi is, it's the plectrum that you use when you're playing the shamisen instrument. It looks like a small plastic or wooden, almost like a fan shape, but it's a lot more narrow. Like, it's not, how fans really have like a really wide range that they span over. Like, it's, if you just were to cut off the sides, it's almost like, maybe more like a paintbrush that you would use for like painting the house. Kind of that, almost that shape. I don't really know how to explain it. Like, I don't know any other shape that's like that. Maybe like a hair pick, like an afro pick or something. But it's kind of that shape. It's got a handle, and then it's got kind of like the top of it that you use to play the instrument on the strings. And it I think that's it's kind of like the way of the bachi, like in Japanese for the most part. And the shamisen comes from Japanese culture. It's a string instrument. It has like animal skins over the front and back of the hollow body. It's like a almost rounded square shape of a body, and it has a long thin neck with like 3 strings. And he basically, his name is Kyle, and him and his family were originally on one of those shows where like the wife goes to a different family, and they're from Santa Cruz, and the wife, like they would live in like one room, kind of like this alternative lifestyle, hippie-ish culture. Like they would go around their area. They didn't really wear shoes. They played bluegrass music. They slept in the same room as their parents, and they were teenagers. I don't know if the show was called Wife Swap or Meet Your New Mommy, or one of those shows like from back in the day where they used to switch one of the parents for like a week or something. And they switched with this African American lady who, I don't remember, they always just pick like the most random people to switch with each other, whose lifestyles are completely different from one another. And I remember she got on them about not wearing shoes and all this kind of stuff. But anyways, they came from that show, and I think I kept kind of following them. They had I think it was called the Abbott Family Blogcast, or the Abbott Family Blogcast. I think that's what it was. And they used to post like almost every week, and then they just suddenly stopped. And this is like a decade ago, okay? So this is like a long time ago. And I really got into, bluegrass, and just kind of, I think they had this website called Toneway, where they kind of had this brand where they were selling this Toneway method of learning how to play in jam sessions, more like kind of folk music, bluegrass style type music, play with other people. And they would do yoga, and they didn't wear shoes, and I think they had like a nice big garden, and they go to the beach a lot and stuff, and you just see them like roaming around doing their own thing. But they lived like this different kind of lifestyle in Santa Cruz, and Santa Cruz is one of those areas where it's like, if you like nature, and it's got a little bit of city to it, but it's a beach city. But it's not like LA, like with Long Beach and Venice Beach and Santa Monica and Redondo and all that. Like, it's a whole different kind of beach city culture. And there's a lot of musicians and a lot of just like people who are into crafts and mom and pop type of places. It's a little touristy as well, and it's a cool spot, but it's different. It's closer up to like the Bay Area, and it's just different. It's colder. It's a different kind of lifestyle from like LA. But anyways, that's how I originally got into these people. And the young brother Kyle, made this brand called Bachido, and basically he originally had this book that he used to teach people how to make a shamisen, the instrument, like to actually build one out of wood. And at this time when I got into that, I was like, I think I was studying for the GRE or something, and I was like, I just need a project. I think I just graduated from grad school maybe, and I was like, I need a project. And so I just dove into that, building a shamisen out of wood. I've never made anything out of wood before in my life, other than like little plywood and balsa wood projects with stuff from like the local arts and crafts stores, like little bitty pieces of wood with like little nails or screws and stuff. Like never any like big instrument, which I did make. I finished it. It's functional. It's not the prettiest thing on earth, but it was more cost efficient than buying one from Japan, buying a brand new one, And the reason why I'm mentioning all this is because, there are people who like folk music and like folk music from other countries. And if you're an American and you're into shamisen, you're very unlikely to find a place where you can just like get one. I live in an area of LA where there's a very large population of Japanese people, businesses. I don't think I've ever seen a shamisen around here or even know of a place that sells them or repairs them or anything. So I had to buy one. Eventually I did buy one from somebody off eBay from Japan or something. It was like a broken one, and I was like, I'll just fix it because I made the first one, so I knew how to like fix an old one. But yeah, I was like, this isn't it's not really gonna work that easily if I want this instrument. And I took time, I had to buy some tools, chisel tools, and use my friend's power tools and stuff. I used softer wood than they used in the book. But basically what I'm trying to say, to make this longer explanation, maybe a little bit shorter, he went from using his family's brand, from that show. They made the Abbott Family blogcast, and then he branched off from there, seeing that people liked the Toneway Project, and he kind of found a community of people that like shamisen instruments, but they were American and they just don't have access to, how do I learn how to play this instrument? I need material in English that I can read, that I can learn how to like play the music, and instructional material and actual communities that I could like watch content and watch tutorials in English and, get an instrument. If you can't get an instrument, it's easy enough to make. I mean, I made one that worked. It sounded fine to me. I think my only complaint would be, like I'm used to playing guitar, and I like Ibanez guitars because the necks are super thin and the strings are super close to the fretboard. I would have preferred, I guess the way I built the neck, it was maybe more curved than I had anticipated. So I think just for myself, I would prefer a different neck. But now I have like two shamisen. Basically, I can like alternate the parts out and stuff. Like they come apart. You can like pull them apart and stuff. They're like, the neck comes off into two sections, and like the head is like its own. No, the head's its own thing, and then the body's its own thing. And then the tuning pegs come off and everything, so it's portable as well. And it's a cool instrument, in all honesty. And there's a shansen or sanshin. I think it's shansen. That's the Okinawan version. I think people used to use like tortoise or alligator or something like that. So it's got like this reptile looking skin over it instead of like the calf or goat skin that's on the shamisen. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about that because it was something that I got involved with kind of early on, and I posted my experience about making a shamisen on YouTube, and I had a lot of, viewers kind of flooding in to watch this, and I didn't do anything special. I wasn't usually even posting about this. I was mostly posting about, like computers and, like hardware, software, just mostly computer related stuff, hardware, software, like certain gaming laptop repairs and certain software glitch repairs, and just, my interest in learning about electronics and breadboards and a little bit of programming with like the Raspberry Pi and Python and those types of things. Like I was kind of more in like the techie stuff, but I was posting about projects and like what's now Reason Studios, like little tutorials of like how to use the drum machine, or like little songs I had made, and when Record from Propellerhead came out and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was just little projects. It was like hobbies, like little random hobbies that I get involved with. And so I basically would post about that, and I had fun. I liked that, but this was completely outside of my niche, like working with like wood and things like that. And I think it got a lot of traction because there weren't a lot of people who were following that book to make a shamisen. Other than Kyle himself making the shamisen, I was one of the few people that got his book early and started making the shamisen as well. And so, I was tracking my experience, and I think I recorded when I was finished. I think I posted a compilation when I was completely done or something. And so you can be in a niche that's like very, very, very narrow, that's like very niche, but like you're the only one that's contributing to that field. I think one of the difficulties with that is, though, that if you do get people who become better than you or more popular than you or can kind of just steal all your ideas, like say, for example, if someone were to have purchased Kyle's book, built a shamisen, maybe if they had more access to like, advertising or like, making a book that's like maybe a little more comprehensive. Like his book showed you everything from how to build it to, once you have it built, like a few methods of how to learn how to like play the instrument, some little skills, how to read the actual like traditional music notation like written down, and how to like play a couple actual like musical pieces on the shamisen. Like it was enough that like it was a comprehensive book, and it was like, it was good. Like I thought it was good, and he wrote it when he was probably in his 20s. And so I've been following people like that for a long time, where I'm like, wow, it's possible to kind of build something like that up. And so that's just one example of something that I followed for a long time that was really interesting to me. And the other day, it says yesterday, I thought it was longer. Like, so Wednesday, January 17th, if you get Neil Patel's emails, there's an email he sent about SEO. It says, how long does SEO really take? So it says, you may ask, how long does SEO take? So we decided to dig into the hard data from over 100 million sites to find out. And they found out this following information. Traffic increased 11.4% within the first 6 months. Another 9.58% traffic dump in months 6 through 12. So that's 1 year. Over 1 year, you've got, what's the math on that? Like 20-ish, 21 or so, 21%, from about 11% to about a total of 21% in the first year. Year 2 saw 49.4% boost over year 1. So that's by the end of 24 months. You've got an additional 40, it's almost 50%, just under 50%. Year 3 was up 30.7% over year 2, and year 4 grew another 13.5%. So basically there's a lot of consistent growth. And sites that stick with it continue seeing growth in years 3 and 4. It seems like year 2 is probably the biggest bump in traffic. So keeping a site up long term is beneficial. And it says SEO can be hard to do on your own, but my team can review your site and make recommendations tailored to your business. So if you want help accelerating your growth, let's chat about your strategy. Interested? And it gives you a link that you can pick to get help from them. So let's talk about this. So I don't know how many of you have even dabbled in like social media, like put up a YouTube channel and even just left it there, just left it alone. Like you were posting for a while and you left it alone. Like there are a lot of content creators I follow like that. I follow some people on Instagram, and I, initially I'm like into their content. I'm like, yeah, they have content that's like right up my alley, and I'll be following them, and then they put up a new YouTube channel, and I'm like, yes. And they're like, I'm gonna post weekly or whatever, and they have the first 3-4 weeks posted up, and they're like, we're gonna post weekly, and they post it, you get all like, okay, like they post Mondays or whatever, and then the first few Mondays you tune in and there's something already there, and then after a while you're like, it's been a month, it's been 2 months, it's been 3 months, and you realize they just kind of like quit. And sometimes they come back through, and other times they never do. And I've come across that a lot, because there are a lot of people I follow with quite niche content on Instagram that don't really post anywhere else, but I totally fangirl over certain stuff, and then I'll be like, well, if you're posting more content, I'm clearly gonna watch it. So sometimes I like YouTube because it allows people to post longer form content. I know that YouTube's going toward the short form model, but I'm not there for the short form, I'm there for the long form. So, usually that's what I like. Usually people are posting longer form content than they are on Instagram for the most part. So usually that's why I like it when people go from Instagram to YouTube. I'm like, cool, they're going to post longer content that has more detail to it, more depth to it, hopefully, or not even. Like, if I like their content and I like kind of just what they have to say, I don't mind listening to them ramble. But yeah, just in general, like, I think most people have seen this. If you've dabbled along online anywhere, you're going to notice, even if your site sits there, it's probably going to get more traction after a while. Now, the more you post, the more you're probably going to have content that you're, the more you're going to have content that you're actually, the algorithm of most platforms favors more posts. Now, I can't say this with every single platform, right? I can't say this with every single platform. Not every platform is meant for you to be posting all the time. Like Craigslist. You're not really meant to be posting, like, say if you have a car for sale, you're posting that up like every day or whatever, or you're renting out a room or something, and you're posting that up like every day. I mean, maybe, but it's not really meant to be like that. Like, you usually aren't going to have that many things to kind of go by. But even if you look at sites like dating apps or whatever, like a lot of those sites too, they kind of look at this like, oh, if you post this many pictures, if you post this much information, you're going to get more people viewing your stuff. Just naturally, the algorithm favors more content over less content. And consistency of content posting, even with podcasting, if you stop posting for like a week or two, you'll notice the numbers decrease. And then if you post every day, that might be a little bit excessive. I've tried that before, and I'm like, I really don't have that many things to say every day. That's why I got into those daily episodes, and then I was like, you know what? I don't need to be posting these because they're really not about anything. It was just filler, because I was like, let me just post until I have something to say. And I might actually go back and delete those, but I actually don't know if it would help or not. Because I did that for a while, just thinking, okay, I need to post every day, but there was no, like, topic, Now, as far as growth, I think things you do have to consider are posting. Posting is one of those things. Like, if you never post, unless it's like a static website, where you don't really have to post. But if you're not driving traffic to it in any way, it might not really work out in your favor. So SEO can be divided into on-page and off-page SEO. I think the hardest part about SEO really is doing the work in the background to actually optimize the site. It's not necessarily learning SEO, it's doing the tasks. Because it's not hard to learn. Just, if you think about it, if you're looking at like 6 months to see results, it takes time. It takes time to make content. Even when I'm posting on here unscripted, I still have to go and like learn something eventually and have something to eventually post, or like wait till I'm like in the middle of doing something where I'm like, oh, this is an idea that connects to what I was just talking about, and then talk about that next. I try to make things, like, for example, this is almost a project talking about digital marketing. I've done other projects before where I've talked about e-commerce and talked about podcasting and talked about all kinds of things. I don't really want to go that detailed right now. I'd rather keep it broad. And, because I'm not very good at those, like, post every day what I've done, because sometimes I think something's going to take me one day and it takes me like 4 or 5 days, or sometimes I just don't want to post. So for me, this is kind of a better style for me. But let's talk about some topics that are usually the focus for on-page SEO. You're usually going to have keyword research. Now, I'm going to read what it says on Acadium and one of their courses, but I'm going to add to that as well. I think Neil Patel has some of my favorite content, as far as easy to follow, easy to implement, with free methods that actually do lead to successful results. But yeah, the lessons that they talk about on Acadium, they have keyword research, SER URLs, title tags, on-page content, anchor text, and website speed optimization. You're usually not going to hear too many other topics outside of the ones that were just mentioned. That's the general information there. Now, even if you know what to do for search engine optimization on a web page, you have to do it. If you're not doing it, you're not going to start seeing any kind of results. If you're looking at 6 months, what are my results going to look like? You're not going to see those 11% traffic results if you're not doing anything, right? Or if you're not doing all of it, or if you're not doing some of it, like, and it depends which platforms you're working with as well. Like, for me, I'd say I like to promote static websites on other platforms. So either LinkedIn, Instagram, podcasts, blogs. And for me, that tends to work, and just promote all of them, all the, social media platforms on all of them. The reason for that is, there's usually different types of content that I'm posting. When I'm posting on a podcast, it's usually like informational, maybe a little entertainment based, but just kind of like a little rambling, food for thought kind of thing. Ideas. If I'm posting something on YouTube, it's probably not the same. It's probably a little more demonstration, instructional, something to take advantage of the visual aspect of things. If I'm posting on Instagram, it's usually, I've only really used Instagram as more of a marketing tool. I've never really used it as like I'm not really into the whole, post your life, post your pictures, edit your pictures, and like, that's just not it. I know that people like that. It's just, for me, it's hard because I don't like doing that. I'm not really out around in the city trying to post selfies and all this kind of stuff. I don't really like people knowing where I'm at and what I'm doing all the time. It's just kind of my own thing. Like, I talk about things that interest me and hobbies that interest me and places that I go that interest me, but I don't like timestamps and like, oh, here's a picture of me and my friends having sushi at this place and like the sake was really good or whatever. Like, I don't really want to post that kind of stuff. It's just too, I don't know, I like to keep it to myself. Like, on my own personal Instagram, the only thing I really post is if I go to a rave or if I go snowboarding. That's almost exclusively the only thing I post, and the occasional hiking post, and I try to post maybe 2 times a year, 3 max. Like, I'm really not into that kind of stuff. Like, if you want to know what I'm doing, you probably have to know me and ask me what I'm doing. Like, I'm usually not just going to be voluntarily just like posting information about what I'm doing on a day-to-day. Unless it's project-based, I'll post about what I'm doing on certain projects. But other than that, I'm probably not going to be posting about what I do in my daily life, and in my free time, and who I'm with and all. I've never really wanted to post about that, like, because I don't want people who don't know me or people who I don't associate with in that way to really be involved in my life in that way. Like, to me, it's not important for everybody to have access to that information. It's like, if you don't know me, you're probably not going to know what I'm up to. You can probably, predict what I'm doing. Like, I'm not like super secretive about things. I just don't want to involve the whole free world in my life. That's just not how I am. So for me, Instagram isn't really something that is easy for me to use, because I don't really use it the way most people use it. But I do find it very easy for networking. It's a very good casual form of networking. It's very like quick, like, you can get in touch with people for like ambassador related things, affiliate marketing. It's really easy to just come up on somebody's content, look around on their content, and just be like, hey, like, do you want to be involved in this? Do you want to collab? Like, I see you're doing this. Like, can we talk about this or whatever? Like, it's really easy to network on there, and just kind of like see what other people are doing. It's very easy for those reasons, but I don't know. I've never really gotten into the like personal posts too much. But let's talk about this keyword research. Finding the right keywords. It says finding the right keywords for your content is the first step to creating an effective SEO campaign, and it gives you a lesson where you can learn about the different tools and strategies to improve keyword research. Now, I've used Ubersuggest quite a bit. They have Longtail Pro, keyword research. It's easy to use for blogging, and mostly I've probably used it for blogging. But it's a good way to find keywords. One thing, if you don't really know what to post about for content, especially if you're knowledgeable about a lot of things, keyword research is one thing that can really help you, because it shows kind of, numerical information about how many people are interested, kind of what's trending. Google Trends can be helpful, but it can be. But yeah, using a type of keyword research tool I think is pretty helpful, because it can help guide the content that you're actually going to post. It can help guide maybe like if you're... I like to do things like on a lecture style almost. I haven't really like busted out like a whiteboard anytime lately, but I kind of like that style. I went to school for a long time. I'm used to people lecturing. I went to a school where I was often giving presentations in the field of psychology. You're like constantly giving presentations in classes, like almost every week of almost every class you're giving a presentation, or you're writing about something, or you're reading about something that someone else wrote. And in the field of psychology, working in clinics and stuff, I gave presentations at least once a week, if not more. Probably about 2-3 times a week. You're giving presentations about multiple client cases, and you just learn how to present. So I can tell when I'm like presenting kind of linearly. I know that I ramble a lot, but that's what I do. I mean, if people don't like it on here, I'm pretty sure they'll go find something else that they like better. But I kind of like to present information, and just, when I understand it, it's easy for me. And that's how I can tell if I understand something. When I start talking about it, and I'm like, can I go from beginning to end talking about this topic? Do I have to look stuff up? Can I still pull like examples like Bachido or whatever, like for what I'm talking about? Or am I just like completely lost and like have no idea what I'm saying and just trying to like... It's hard to really BS your way through stuff, honestly, with topics. For me, it's hard to like BS my way through things. I just can't. If I don't know what I'm saying, I don't know what I'm saying. Next, it goes into SEO URLs. The structure of your URL has a significant impact on your search engine position. And this lesson goes over the different parts of a URL and offers tips on how to make your URL search engine friendly. Now, a lot of people know that you have a website, right? I think most people would know that typically a .com is probably going to be your best bet. Now, I've seen, if you're working with AI tools, I've seen people use .ai or .io for different types of like software companies. You can use .net, you can use .org, you can use .co. But outside of those, in all honesty, outside of those, you're not really going to be using too much other stuff. Now, one downside of having a popular type of URL extension, that .com or .net or .org or whatever it is, those popular extensions cost money. So you have to buy the domain name. So I have gameandcompute.com. I bought that. It's mine. If I let it lapse, somebody else can buy it. If I want to buy it off of a person who bought it but doesn't have a website built out on it, you can get a brokerage involved through GoDaddy, and they're gonna upsell you. And now, instead of paying however much I pay a month, it's gonna be like probably 5 times as much as what I'm already paying. And I talked about it on a previous episode where I was kind of not too happy with GoDaddy. I decided to give it another chance. My own frustration with it. It's not powerful enough. Their web design tool, I'm sorry, it's not powerful enough. It's not WordPress. WordPress is very customizable. GoDaddy is very point and click. It limits me, and it's like, it's also, there's a part of me that doesn't want to spend that much time just like in all these little nitty-gritty details of like, I want this font to look like this and be over on the right, and it's like, it doesn't really matter in my head. That's maybe how I visualize it, and then there's no option to do that. I have to put it either here or there, and then that's the only option. And I don't know. I'd have to go into HTML and like CSS. I don't even know if GoDaddy offers the option to do that. Maybe they do. I'm just not informed. I don't like it when I don't have full autonomy over what I'm doing, even though I am really into the simplistic point and click. I like to be able to, design things to look the way that I imagine them to look, and GoDaddy just isn't doing it for me. I'm having to just be like, okay, fine, landing page is going to look like this, and I'm just dealing with it. Now I don't have to use their web design platform. I can migrate that over to something else. My URL is already paid for, but I'm paying extra to be able to use GoDaddy's services. But the more I invest time and energy into these other parts of the design platform that they have available, the less likely I'm going to be able to want to migrate that over to like WordPress or whatever, Wix or whatever the heck else, Square, Squarespace, Square. But I'm already this deep in, so I'm like, whatever. But the domain name itself is an annual payment, or maybe every 2 years you pay, or every 3 years you pay. You kind of decide how that's going to look. I don't have to pay this monthly fee unless I want to use GoDaddy, and whatever. I'm not going to go into a whole separate rant about that, but that's kind of how I feel about it. So I've talked about it briefly. There's a site called 000 Webhost where you can link WordPress.org, not WordPress.com, WordPress.org. You can link a website, a static page or a blog, dynamic page or whatever you want to call it. You can link that to your free URL that you get through 000 Webhost. They have free hosting. Now, these are things I would not recommend, but it's free. So you might have an extension for your website. Like if I kept Game and Compute, I could get a free URL that they just randomly choose. It could be gamingcompute.23net1 or gamingcompute.6co239 or whatever. Like the extension is like some weird thing. Now it's free and it works, and sometimes the extension isn't that bad, but it's just weird. Like if it's like .co2 or something like that, where you're just like, what? The extensions usually have numbers in them, and so that's odd. One thing you have to be careful of, though, is you don't want people to think that you're spam or some kind of weird like virus. That I think is that's going to be difficult if people associate you with that, if they don't trust the link that you're sending them, or that you're sending them to, or if you say, hey, go check out my website at gamingcompute.nntr3.com, it's like people are going to be like, or not even .com, but yeah, NNRT3 or whatever. People are going to be like, what the heck is that? Like, and then they have to remember it, it's like, not only do they have to, you can remember .com. Almost everything is .com. You can remember .com. But can you remember like some weird extension that's like one person has it and like you've never heard it before? So unless it's something similar to .com, people aren't going to be just like organically typing that in. And it's just hard. It just doesn't look right. Now I'm not trying to discourage people. I've used those things before because I was like, I just want to put something up, just bang this out real quick, and it's a fun project, and I've been able to get organic traffic off of those types of weird extension sites, but I don't know long term if it's worth it. I've never done anything long term with it past like maybe a couple months, past probably like a summer vacation type project. And let's see. So they go into these other topics. Title tags. Search engines use the keywords in your title tags to determine whether you can rank for certain keywords. In this lesson, you'll learn how to write effective title tags for your target keywords. So once you have the keywords that you've researched, you're going to have tags for whatever the title is, right? And, this is more of a detail. Like, you can see it when you go and look at other people's websites. But ranking is something that is pretty important. Like, there are a lot of sites that, if you just type in the keyword in Google, for example, google.com, type in whatever the keyword is, you can see that you're ranking. Now, Google isn't the only search engine. You might rank differently on DuckDuckGo or on Bing or Yahoo or whatever other thing. You might rank differently on those than you do on Google. Google is harder to rank because it is like the search engine that most people use worldwide. But there are other search engines. So just because you're not maybe ranking on Google doesn't mean you're not ranking anywhere else. But usually most people's goal is to rank on Google. That just makes the most kind of logical sense because that's where most people are searching anyways. Now, YouTube is another search engine. If you can rank on YouTube, depending what your content is, ranking on YouTube can be a very important thing. Because it leads you to be able to, get traffic organically to a lot of, if you're on a lot of platforms, YouTube is really helpful for ranking, and you could potentially monetize your YouTube channel as well. There's a lot of monetization opportunity. You can monetize your site on Google as well. But yeah, we'll have to circle back to that one though with title tags. It's kind of like a subcategory in my opinion. On-page content. So creating high quality content is one of the best ways to increase your SEO rank in a short amount of time. In this lesson, you'll learn about all the qualities that make a high quality post. Now again, it depends where you're posting. Are you posting a blog? Are you posting a video? Are you posting on TikTok? Are you posting on LinkedIn? Like, where are you posting, But definitely on-page content is going to be of importance. We all know what bad content is like. Like, even when I'm posting bad content, I know what it's like. I know that it's bad sometimes, and I'm just like, whatever, I just need to put something out, because sometimes it is a quantity versus quality game, Sometimes it really is. It's like, I haven't posted in a while, maybe I'm all over the place, but whatever. Versus don't post anything until you edit it, and you're not going to edit it quickly, and stalling on posting. Sometimes you want to post consistently, and that is going to require your content to be of lesser quality, especially if you're working and doing other things and you're spread pretty thin and you're the only one creating your own content. You know, there can be a trade-off there. Now, there shouldn't always be a trade-off. There shouldn't always be bad content or always missing posts. Consistency of posts, I would say, would be something else that goes into this category of on-page content, and the quality of content. You don't want typos. If you do have typos, you don't want them to be like obvious typos. Like, I think there's maybe space for, I wouldn't recommend it, but there's maybe space for typos that most people make. Like, maybe if you didn't put a period at the end of a sentence or something or whatever, like, there's certain things that can be like easily overlooked that most people aren't going to catch. But it doesn't look good when you have, especially when you have a limited wording, like limited text. Oh man, that gets me. Like, when I see a website that has limited text, it's maybe like 5 lines of text and like there's like 3 typos in there. It's like, whoa, bro, like, read it, proofread it, like, there shouldn't be that many typos, like, if it's like a journal article that's like 55 pages long and there's 3 typos, that's one thing. But if it's like, if you barely have any information, like, a little off topic, but I think we've all gotten random emails marketed towards us. I think near what's the time of year, like Black Friday, it's common to get all these weird emails, right? Now, if you look at your junk folder compared to your normal main email, you can just see examples of bad email marketing all through your junk folder. Like, you don't even have to scroll to look at it. You just look at it and it's all these like typos. Like, even the first word is spelled wrong. Everything is spelled wrong. The caps lock is all like weird fonts and weird sizes of letters, and like it'll be one capital letter, then one lowercase letter, then a capital letter, then a lowercase letter, or like whatever, and they just make it look funky and strange, and you're like, what the heck is this? Like, just visually, your eyes are just like, delete, like, you don't even want to like pay attention to it, right? So quality content comes in a lot of forms. I know email marketing is like off the topic from what this on page, that would be more of like an off page SEO topic, but on page, if your landing page looks like a spam email, with all those weird like fonts, and this is bold, and like this looks strange, and there's just, I don't even know how to explain it, and I can even look at some of my junk emails. I have to like pull up an example. It's hard to even explain it in words. Like, sometimes it's like, this is just bad. I have 369 junk emails. I don't even know what this, they're still loading. I don't want to call people out. I put some people in this junk email. Let me see. The first one that comes up, that is sus, ups.tracking, and it has a little picture of a little shipping box, and it has a little yellow finger arrow pointing towards, it says second attempt for, trying to contact me, because like I put them to junk. Another one, it says K ? D and Night Trip debut with whatever this is. I don't even know what this is. There's this one, I don't even know what the heck this is. Like, some kind of billing from something that doesn't exist. HSKGXKG. It just goes on, like the string of letters that I mean, yeah, if somebody sees something like this, they are not going to click on it. You know, if you have a website that has things that look like that, you know, even if it makes sense to you, it might not make sense to anybody else. So you might do well to just fix that. Anchor text, using the right anchor text throughout your content can help you boost your search rankings and generate more traffic back to your site. And the lesson talks about different types of anchor text, how to use them. And then lastly, website speed optimization. I'm running out of time here, so I'm going to have to get back to these later and probably in more detail. Website speed optimization. Search engines typically use your website speed as a ranking factor on search results, and you can learn how to ensure your site loads quickly in all countries across all devices and browsers. We've all come across sites where it's like literally like back in the day loading, where you're like, it's taking forever. Most of us don't have the patience for that these days, and it's usually rare. That's very rare nowadays. But yeah, that's definitely going to be one of those situations where you're going to want more like speed. And check out Uber Suggest. It tells you all this information. You can look up anybody's website and it tells you how it's doing. You can look up your own website and see how your own website is doing. So that's about it for now. Hopefully you guys are going to have a good weekend from when I'm posting this. And thanks for listening.